Tina Stitches. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch and not a whole lot else. We refer to it as Flosstube. This is episode 109 and today is March 19th. It's been a little more than a week. It's just a day shy of 2 weeks since my last video. I did get a lot of progress on a couple of projects. I really went to town on one of them and I basically had to stop myself because I have plans to work on it again later in the month. I really needed to swap out to my other Whip Go project so that I get some work done on that one too. So yeah, when I added up my hours, I actually, because I don't count my stitches, I count time. I just add up the time. I take a rough estimate, and my goal is 22 hours on my Whip Go. So yeah, I got to 21 and a half, and I know I have to pick it up again, so I stopped. It was a good time to change out. And yeah, so you'll see that. First off, welcome to anybody who's new. If you just found me, I hope you like what you see. And if you're returning, thank you for coming back. You must like what you see because you keep coming back. I have some good news to share regarding my internet situation. We're signed up for Starlink, which is the new it's the internet provided by Elon Musk. So considering how remote we are, we don't get great internet. This is the best option, which is exactly what he is promoting it for. So win-win. I know somebody who is up way far north, like it's a fly-in community, and it took about 3 hours to fly up there. Maybe not 3. 3 hours is probably a return flight, but anyways, yeah, she's working from home and she has it, and she says it's the best thing ever. So she can do her job because she has this internet. So I'm like, well, I'm sold. If you can get it great reception up there, then I am on board. So that is on its way. We've got notification, so hopefully soon we'll be able to do more Zoom meetups, etc. Yeah. So I guess I should get into my stitching. I'm sure that's what you want to see. Since it's been 2 weeks, I have 5 projects here to show you. One of them was to finish off the week when I last filmed. Well, it wasn't really finishing off the week. I just wanted to get some more time in it before I picked up Dressmakers Daughter. So I worked on this for a couple more days after my last video. And this is Sampler 1823 by Permin of Copenhagen, and it's the kit. This is the picture, but this is the actual floss. So you can see it's not quite as photographed. And I will insert a picture here of where it was before. And I need to take my chart off. And here it is now. And I believe the last thing that I worked on was this bottom part of the boat and the anchor. This is the page break here, so that's why I didn't get any further that way. And yeah, once this bottom bit here is done, and then I go over here and finish off what's on the other side of the page, that entire big boat is done. And that would be that big boat right there. This is being stitched on the kit fabric, which is really stiff, and it's kitted with DMC thread, and that's what I'm using, but I am going with 1 strand over 2 on the 35 count fabric instead of 2 over 2 as the chart suggests. This part right here where I started was 2 over 2, but I didn't like how bulky it was, so I stopped that and went with 1 over 2 and like the effect better. So, Permin of Copenhagen, sampler 1823. That I worked on for 5.5 hours since my last video. This next project is my Lunchtime Project, and this is a band sampler that I decided to stitch because of thinking of Ukraine. And it's a sunflower sampler by Shepherd's Bush. And I am going to buy some Ukrainian designer charts, but this was already in my stash. I am stitching it with threads from my stash. It calls for Over Soie silk, but I'm just using over dyes and a dinky dyes silk. Here's where it was last time you saw it. And here it is now. So you can see that I probably didn't show you the crow the last time, but I had stitched the 1 over 1. No. 1 strand of floss over 2 threads. But I didn't like how sparse that is. That's too see-through. So I went with 2 threads. I still have to do the back stitching on these 2 and then pull this one out. And I did the row of elongated stitches some back stitch up here, and then this is all cross stitch. The spaces in the sunflower centers there are going to be black beads. And I changed the color a little bit on the dress to be the brighter blue, and it calls for pink on the apron, but I think I'm going to try to incorporate yellow to make it like Ukrainian color, their flag. So that's where that's at, and that I stitch on my lunch hour, and I probably got 7 lunch breaks worth of work on that. I don't generally take a lunch break on Friday because it's a short day anyways. Yeah. So now for my 2 WIPGO main focus projects they are my focus projects for March. Permin kit is also a focus project because it was a gift from my son whose birthday was March the 1st. So that's why these 3 big projects and Beloved are pretty much all that I worked on this month so far. Let's go with this. Is Strawberry Stitches by Jeanette Douglas, and it's in this magazine. Just cross stitch from May-June 2011. And I did not flag the page, so it's going to take me a second to find it. That's what it should look like when it's finished. Okay. Sorry about that. Little interruption. So this is Strawberry Stitches. I already showed you that. And here's where it was when you last saw it. And I have things threaded and ready to go. Here it is now. So, when you last saw it, this was not done. The basket weave stitch border was mostly done, and I think you did not see any, well, the strawberries finished. So everything from that brown border out is new, and of course, because it's Jeanette Douglas, it is specialty stitches. I am using silks that I had in my stash or have purchased as substitutes for the called for silks. Some of them are the called for silks, such as Worn Brick Path. Yeah, I tried to get away with my own greens, but I think it turned out okay. And these, so the center part is all cross stitch except for these blocks here and these stripes. These white flowers I have not finished. They are satin stitched, and I have pulled a thread that is, it's a rayon thread, so it's thicker than the silk, and it's really, really shiny, so it's really hard to see. And this is 32 count natural or cream Belfast linen. And so it's really hard to see when you're stitching. I'm getting really close here, but those satin stitches are really hard to put in. And I don't think they're in the right spot, but I don't think I'm going to pull them out. So this one is 3/4 of the way done, and there's another one that has to go there. They're little blossoms. And then this is a Hungarian something stitch. Hungarian and satin stitch strawberry over here. This is over 1, and this is modified hitch stitch and long arm cross stitch over 2 for these berries across the bottom. The finished result is mostly, it looks mostly like a cross stitch, so unless I told you when you're here in person looking at it, I don't know that you would tell the difference. And I don't know if that is thick enough for my liking. It says to stitch it with 1 strand, but their picture looks a lot fuller than mine. So that's their picture. So yeah. So we'll see. I'm probably going to double up on the threads for this in these strawberries here. Yeah. So that has gotten about 11.5 hours. And it is a whip go project. So it will need another 12.5 hours to make 22. I can't add. 10.5. Why did I pick such an odd number? So 10.5 hours plus my 11.5 will make 22 hours, which is my goal for this year for WIPCO. So if that's 11.5 hours, 10.5 would bring me back up to this side. So depending on which way I go. Okay, now for this one, which I was really happy to pick up and made a great deal of progress. This is Dressmakers Daughter by Mirabilia. Now last year I had the goal of having 2 of these panels finished. That didn't happen. I did manage to finish spring, I believe in January. And I didn't pick it up much after that. And then I picked it up again this a week ago, and I did 21.5 hours, well, 19 hours including, I had worked on it before for 2.5 hours. I did an additional 19 hours since my last video, and this is what it looked like when you last saw it. And here it is now. So as you can see, I've made it all the way up to the top. Filled in all the background in this corner. The dress form is finished. The blue dress is completely finished. And it's just background and leaves and flowers in the rest of it. So yeah, if I had continued working on it, instead of putting it down, I was very tempted to do that. I would have had that panel fully cross-stitched. There is backstitch to make definition on the form, and then down here for the form, although it's mostly hidden by the dress for this one. But yeah, this is stitched on 32 count lavender mist, Belfast linen, no, Sweet Lavender. Sweet Lavender Belfast linen by xjudesigns, which I had gotten in a Fabric of the Month Club a while back. So I'm very happy with this progress. But Sunday is the first day of spring, which means that I should be changing it out from summer over to autumn, because I'm stitching this in the order of the Southern Hemisphere seasons, just to be different. So we'll see whether I change it or continue going. And now that I'm looking at it, I want to switch out tonight, which that's my prerogative. So now, big project. Get some of these out of the way. My Heaven and Earth design Beloved by Adele Sesler. This is what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. I will just pull it up. It just takes a second. And I've mentioned before that I modified the ear. People have been asking me how I did that, and to be honest, when I did it, I had intended to share the chart. What I did was I took my paper copy. I printed off a paper copy because this was before I had it on Pattern Keeper, before Pattern Keeper was even out. And I took white out and I whited out the part on the ear that was the point, the pointy part. And what I wanted to do was to bring the hair over and then just curve that. And I tried to chart it as I went, and I had been stitching off of the original paper, and some of the stitches that I had done had actually gone into the shading part here before I realized that I should have been switching over to my blank copy. So I'm going to unroll it a little bit and you can see where I goofed up. But basically I was just continuing colors, trying to shade it as I went by. And my ear does have a little bit of a point to it, but it's rounded. And unfortunately, halfway through, I was like trying to chart it, and it was like, forget it. I can't. I'm just gonna go with what I have. So here's where it's at now. And I'm gonna scroll down. To the ear. This is going to be a little bit awkward with the frame, but as you can see, some of the shading, some of the stitches are still there. So you can kind of make out where it would have been a point. But I think all in all, the effect is good. It's a little bit weird shape, maybe. But I ain't gonna mess with it anymore. There's a couple of stitches that are well, maybe not so bad. From a distance, remember the 6-foot rule. Nobody's going to be standing right up close. So, yeah. So I hope that answered the question. It may not be very helpful. I'm sorry. I really did want to chart it to share it, but that was too difficult. Trying to hand draw those symbols as well was not the easiest thing. But here's where it is now, and keeping true to my it's not the goal, the way I'm gonna do it, keeping true to that. I'm working over here on the weekend by the column, and over here in the mornings on the weekday before work. And I have that much finished. I meant to, actually look up my percentage, but did not. So this is a pretty big new chunk. I think this is new here too, but mostly it was this here. And then that column. So here I am working in the typewriter method for the most part. Column by column, I'm What I generally do is I take what's parked, stitch as much as I can, and park it as far over as I can. And then once that's done, I will start at the top, take the empty symbol, and fill in as much as I can. Over there, same basic idea, but I don't have very much parked because it's not a lot of confetti. So it's find the topmost symbol and fill it in as much as I can. I'm trying to avoid doing black until I have the grayed areas finished, and then just fill in with the black. So over the last 13 days I have 1966 stitches, which is about 800 shy of what it should have been. But the reason why I didn't film last week was because I had to work on Sunday, which meant I only had one day off for I only had a one-day weekend because we had to do inventory on Sunday. And inventory always runs until about 3 or 4. No matter what they say it'll be done by noon. No, 3 or 4. Small store, but there's still a lot of nitpicky things that have to be done. So yeah. So that's all the stitching that I've done over the last 13 days. 5 projects. 4 of them big, 1 of them tiny. Well, 3 of them big, 1 normal size one, but it's specialty stitches, so yeah. Those are what I gravitate towards. Even my small one has specialty stitches. So I would like to do some shoutouts. I'm going to try to remember to link them below, but this is my contribution to the Under 1000 Sub Club. I have been watching Boogie Stitcher, and I can't think of her actual name, but it's fun to watch her because she enjoys full coverage, and she has a young person running around the house, and so she's trying to film and entertain him, and you know, every once in a while she'll talk to him and tell him, you know, go make yourself a sandwich or whatever. I don't think he's old enough to make himself a sandwich yet, but you know what I mean. And so that's entertaining. I don't know how she gets so much stitching done. She does, like I said, full coverage and a lot of stamped kits. And I am, in watching her and a few other people, I am intrigued by the stamped kit idea. Now, in watching my next shout out, I am kind of on the swaying back to the you don't stitch stamped stitch for a reason. So the next shout out is also going to lead me into my next project in plans. Traveling Stocking Stitcher, Deb. She is in the Twin Cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis. She's in Minneapolis, I believe. And she's a monogamous stitcher, so you don't see a lot of whips, you know, works in progress. There's not a lot of, I worked on this, and then this, and then this. She has been showing her previous finishes and goes into great detail about her creative process on some of them. And her name is Traveling Stocking Stitcher, because she travels, well, as much as you can right now. I don't think she's traveled since COVID started, but she has stitched a lot of stockings. Now, if you know me, my origins in stitching was mostly stockings. I have lost count how many I stitched. I did do a stocking parade a while ago around Christmas, and I think I've counted like 35 stockings, full-size stockings. Deb has done 50 plus, and we have both converted the Celtic Christmas from lavender and lace into a stocking. It just fits. It just makes sense. She also changed autumn, lavender and lace, Celtic Ladies Autumn, and did some conversion and made that a stocking. Unfortunately, I don't have the Celtic Ladies yet. I might try to snag them up, but I don't have them, and I don't know if I need another stocking, because let's be honest, if I'm going to stitch stockings, they're going to be for people, and right now everybody in my family and my extended family on my husband's side has a stocking, except for one person. And on my side, my siblings don't have stockings, but 2 of them stitch. So that's kind of why I haven't done any for my side of the family. I've done one for my mom and one for my dad and one for my mom's significant other at the time, and I don't know what happened to that stocking. I kind of hope she got it back, but whatever. That one is the stocking that I've stitched twice, because some stockings I will do that if they're pretty enough. So I have been talking about plan, and I had been talking about stitching a stocking for somebody, and a couple weeks ago my nephew has announced that he's getting married, and I have stitched a stocking for his brother's significant other, and so I thought, well, guess I'm stitching another stocking. It's a good thing. I really wanted to stitch this stocking. Now, I had pulled out of my craft room when my son wasn't in there. He went off to work last night. I snuck in there and pulled out a dimensions kit that I have, but it's more of a child oriented stocking. So I think I'm going to go with this one, and the reason for that is because his stocking that he picked himself, even though he's not, their family is not a religious family, he picked a church, and if I have a picture of it, I'll put it in here. And the stockings that I did for his brother and his brother's significant other are both just Nan stockings. So I think I'm going to stitch this one for her. I was going to stitch it for somebody else, and I still might. I mean, this is not going to be a really intensive, time-consuming stocking. It's got pearl cotton and some Smyrna crosses and you know, some specialty stitches, but, and bands, and then an angel for the center. And I have some of the angels that will fit in that spot. So I just have to pick, you know, ask kind of what her favorite color is maybe, and go with that. So you may see this started sooner than originally planned. The other thing I have planned is to work at least one more day on Alice. And it's out of the Q-snap because I needed the Q-snap for Dressmakers Daughter. So here it is in its entirety so far. Not ironed. So I do have quite a bit to do. Still, there's the last few parts, which is the table across here, these motifs, and the Queen, and Cheshire Cat, and Absalom. And I still have to finish the fish. Oops, wrong side. The footman fish. Over there. And I still have to finish the house. So I think I have the colors for the house. So I can finish the house. Since I have it out of the Q-snap and moved anyways, I'll have to look at that because that would be a good place to resume. So there's that as a plan for this upcoming week. And Permin, my Copenhagen 1832 or 1823 sampler. Again, it should get more love because it's still March. And I have to do a smalls exchange. That's going to be a secret. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting. I do intend to check in on Sunday a week from now, so we'll see. This is an almost finished, but not finished. I started to turn this into a small pillow, but after I got the panels sewn on, I'm not sure it's too big for a pillow. So I am considering adding panels to the sides and maybe making a project bag. So this is where I got to, and then I put it in the cupboard to be decided on later. Haul. I don't have a lot of haul. I did join the Leo and Roxy Floss the Month Club by Evertotes. And I joined both Brights and Neutral. And I got March. This has got to be the Brights. And if you don't have it by now, I'm really sorry. I should have warned you. Look away. So those are the brights. And these are the neutrals. I'm particularly fond of this one. And I'm wondering if this one would be a good substitute for the brown in my Alice. Although I think I already have everything that I needed for that house, I think. So, I think that's all that I have to share. Carolyn Zook, I still have your Crystal Christmas sitting here. I was supposed to mail it out right away, but I didn't have anything to mail it in. So I went to the post office yesterday after promising myself, bring an envelope from work, bring an envelope from work, and I just forgot. So I got a mailer from the post office, and it will be on the way Monday or Tuesday. And yes, Stitch Along for a stitching shelf is definitely in my plans for August 13th. My biggest debate is whether or not I'm going to upgrade to the max color chart. I have the regular chart, and I keep looking at it, and I keep thinking, is it enough detail? But 87 colors versus 238. Is there a in between? So anyways, that is my plans for August. I still have to buy fabric for that and for inner depths. But I think I've covered everything. I'm looking at my notes and I got nothing else left here. Yeah. So I really need to do some laundry and stuff like that, so I should get out of here and do that. Edit this and upload it. We'll see when it gets up. Yeah, with that new internet, that should not take very long. I've been assured. I've seen the numbers. Right now, an edited video will take about 24 hours for me to upload it. And because I'm filming on a camera, it's always going to be an edited video. So, anyways, I'm going to head out now, do some laundry, and I should be taking the dogs for a walk, but that is very difficult. And thank you for the compliments on the last video. I just had to throw that on there because that is how they are some of the time. Most of the time, the black one, Gidget, needs attention and needs to play with the ball. And I'm surprised that she didn't just get up and start demanding attention for the ball because, yeah, I think because of the tone, she doesn't recognize that I'm saying ball. But she's all about the ball. And she's a Mimi. I don't know if you noticed, but as soon as I was touching Khaleesi, she was me, look at me. So, they get along. They tolerate each other. It's kind of funny though, because when Khaleesi was, not encumbered by her arthritis, she would steal the ball from Gidget and just walk away with it. Gidget would be like, is she allowed to do that? Like, Gidget would not go after an attack or anything to try to get the ball back. So, yeah, tolerates her. She's at my feet right now. Gidget is, and Khaleesi is in the chair, in her usual spot right now. So now that the weather's warming up, we are trying to get out and walk her more, but half a block and she's up in the arms again. Anyways, I'm losing my voice, so I really should go. I don't know if I have any more puppy footage to put on the end, but we'll see. Until next time, happy stitching, take care of each other, be kind. Bye.